For those who are familiar with the food cycle, you know that it's going to be a productive a few coming months for those who planted just right before the rain started. Or not. June is here, and for a long rain season, the long rains have not been that long. Weather patterns have been quite unpredictable these days. The climate, which is the weather patterns averaged over many years, screams danger. According to climate specialists, the rains have been decreasing over the years and the temperatures have been increasing.
The climate has changed, and more or less the evidence is there when you look at the changing rainfall patterns that we are having right now in Kenya. The rainfall season, which Kenya usually has by model kind of rainfall seasons, which is the long rainfall season of March, April, May, and the short rainfall season of when you go to the December, October, November, December, has changed. So you find the rains are actually starting as late as April, which was supposed to start in March, and going as far as November, which was supposed to start in October. So these are some of the changes that produce evidence that is climate change. Also, we have been having failed seasons. Currently, Kenya is experiencing its fourth failed rainfall season. And this obviously shows the evidence that there is climate change owing to that.
Although some weather patterns are natural in occurrence, what we are experiencing now is definitely not normal. According to Dr. Kinyanjui, negative effects in climate change are of higher magnitude today.
The magnitude has changed because climate change magnifies these phenomena to occur to this exponential level. When you look at the drought situation that we had in northeastern, yes, it was there, but it was to a higher level where we had more than 5 million people being rendered drought-stricken, and more than almost I think it was around 12 counties in Kenya which were categorized as drought-stricken. And these counties, some of them raised alarm because some of them, they were known to be bread baskets of Kenya.
The LAPSSET corridor, in its great privilege to develop part of the 70% Kenyan mass that has remained underdeveloped for years, remains with a huge task, as majority of these areas are in the ASAL regions of Kenya.
There is prolonged drought, extreme weather changes, which leads to high rainfall or very hot temperatures. Also, climate change resultant effect is loss of economical lives, because we find most of the people along the corridor are nomadic pastoralism. So they'll take a lot of time looking for water and pasture for their animals instead of doing other economic activity, and also the resultant effect of loss of livestock, which makes it even an economical loss on their side.
Marsabit County, for example, relies heavily on pastoral production systems, and according to NEMA, at least 80%. When the dry seasons come, death knocks on their doors heavily.
Another issue also is death. Death because of lack of food, lack of water, then the effect also on livestock, death on livestock, and death on loss of livelihoods and loss of lives.
In Isiolo County, prolonged dry seasons followed by heavy downpour when the rains come have caused flooding, displacing hundreds every year. Even with preparation and efforts from government to relocate families from flood-prone areas, the adverse effects are proving to be resilient as the years go by.
Seasons where there are very high rainfalls. We can see them in Garissa. They were even in the news that there's a lot of floods because it's a flat land. So you find when it rains, there's a lot of floods there. And also when it's very dry, droughts happen. Yeah.
In Lamu County, areas where livestock keeping is the main economic activity have been greatly affected by the climate change, many forced out of their villages in search of food and water. Overall, global warming, a major cause for climate change, greatly impacts such areas which are relatively dry. The release of gases such as CO2 have caused increase in temperature across the globe.
So global warming obviously is the increase of surface temperatures, and this has happened in most parts of the country and in the world. In Nairobi, there is research which is outside there, which shows that the temperatures in Nairobi over the years, they have increased by a magnitude of around 0.2 degrees to around 0.8 degrees centigrade, which is high. Yes, so the temperatures are increasing globally, but also it depends with the area. Like the areas of northeastern, the temperatures have increased exponentially because the area, first of all, is barren. It does not have vegetation, because vegetation also helps to act as a cooling effect. It helps to make that surface less absorbent of heat. So once the area is deforested and it's bare, it tends to hold more heat compared to an area that obviously is not deforested.
However, although climate change has remained adamant in its adverse effects, we have chosen to remain undefeated.
In its plan to create one of the greatest infrastructure milestones in Africa, LAPSSET has developed a plan under its Environment Department to make the corridor a green corridor.
Green corridor, they are also called biodiversity corridors. These are large land of mass that receive coordinated or structural features that allow interactions between several biodiversities. They allow interdependence between cultural, ecological, and also development. Infrastructural development can be turned into green corridors through processes of rehabilitation.
This one calls for policies, working with NEMA and ensuring that all these measures that will have been suggested by the environmental impact experts, they are implemented. So that's the only way we can ensure the environment is protected, as much as we're trying to spur economic growth and expansion within Kenya and East Africa and the Horn of Africa.
The corridor should be green, should be environmental friendly. So it is a plan that we are expecting to roll out in future, so that we can keep our infrastructure green.
Climate change has seen social-economic losses estimated between 3 to 5% of our GDP, according to Kenya's research. Through its Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Kenya has now updated its nationally determined contributions, the NDCs, whose implementation will be supported through the government's National Climate Change Action Plan, NCCAP, and the National Adaptation Plan, NAP. The NDCs target to reduce emissions by 30% by 2030 through activities such as targeting early warning systems, climate-proofing infrastructure, reducing flood and drought risks, as well as protecting natural assets such as forests. The government directorates under the Ministry of Environment are working towards climate adaptation and mitigation plans that will help the country cope in years to come.
We shall be able to harness green energy. We shall be able even to harness water, because through green corridors we will provide water, which we will harness water harvesting for several communities along the corridor. Also through green corridors we will be able to provide fuels, maybe from timber, that we will get from the green corridor project, because we are envisioning to have high quality seedlings that will provide timber for communities that they will be able to sell even to other organizations.
Proper waste management along the corridor, that is another expectation that we have. Development is going to take place. A lot of activities are going to take place within the corridor. those activities will lead to waste disposals. So there must be a proper mechanism of waste management. And again, the biodiversity within the corridor must also be properly maintained. We have wildlife in the corridor. We have sensitive areas along the corridor. So these regions, these places, or these sites must be protected.
Currently, most of the projects that are being done, when it comes to road construction, we make sure that infrastructure is climate proof. What do we mean by climate proofing agriculture infrastructure? It means that the standards of tools and equipments that are being used, materials that are being used, all of them should meet a certain standards that when it comes to, let's say, areas in Northeastern, we are sure of very high temperatures maybe during the day and very low temperatures during the night, which means there is expansion and contraction within these road networks. That means that when you use climate-proof infrastructure, it will enable it to withstand the temperatures. Also, when it comes to building or bridges within, let's say, a bridge within a waterway, climate infrastructure will enable to, engineers know the gauges that will enable temperatures that can be withstand. There are several resilient programs that we are doing in conjunction with other stakeholders that will see like water pan creation and also drought resilient by distributing food and water.
Climate resilient infrastructure continues to play a huge role in mitigation and adaptation to climate change. LAPSSET, in its move to increase vegetation cover along the corridor, promotes reduction of CO2 from the atmosphere, a major key player in climate change.
Soil acts as a carbon sink, water acts as a carbon sink, trees act as a carbon sink, animals act as a carbon sink, living organisms do. That is, plants and animals do that, and even water, because water absorbs the carbon.
This initiative, Green Corridor Initiative, you know, when we plant maybe trees along the corridor, we have a vision that this corridor will become, when it's on highway, we have maybe even walkways for trees which will provide cooling effects. And when we have trees, it means that they will act as carbon sinks.
What needs to be ensured is they try to work towards ensuring that they maximize the carbon sinks potential by planting more trees, by ensuring that they don't disturb the soil structure. And these are ways we can be able to improve carbon sequestration through that. But the easiest way is obviously planting of trees along these corridors.
We are envisioning to have 3 seedlings that are climate resilient and they are of high quality, that they can withstand drought, so that in the long run, when we are distributing after a while, when they are retransplanted, they'll be given to schools and communities and CBOs, and they will be able even to reinvest back to them, because now when the trees grow, they will have timber they can sell, they will have a livelihood or a source of income. And also we are envisioning that in the next coming financial year, every staff member will or should plant at least 30 trees per year, or equivalent to their age.
The LAPSSET Corridor Development Authority aims to increase vegetation along the corridor, not just by increasing forest cover, but also supporting smart agriculture.
We can also practice what we call circular economy. Within the corridor, we have a circular economy, which is a nature-oriented model. Nature-oriented model. Now, in this, resources are maximally utilized, and need for new resources. There is no much need for new resources because you reuse what you've used. So this will avoid avoid too much release of waste to the atmosphere, or I mean the ecosystem, or to the environment. Now you avoid waste. You recycle the product.
LCDA, LAPSSET Corridor Development Authority, has a project on its own. All components of the program are environmentally certified through NEMA, through KWS, which are the main core when it comes to environment and wildlife. They are the one who deals with the protection. So all projects have been assessed by NEMA and KWS, and they're environmental certified. That in itself, it means that they are geared towards sustainability, which helps also in climate change, because when they are certified, they should show how climate change will be mitigated.
How can you, as a citizen of this country, be part of a greener future?
Stakeholders is a key component of this, because if we talk of some of the stakeholders, like the local community, we have the schools. Now, if you have to plant trees, some trees will be planted in schools, and this school, the students or pupils will help in maintaining the trees. Either they'll be growing them, they'll be planting, watering, and maintaining them. I think that is part of the school. The locals will also help in awareness creation. We have awareness creation. In fact, even the businesses or the people practicing businesses should also help in awareness creation, awareness about the climate change impacts and how can we go about the climate change. Now we are moving from planting trees to growing trees. Growing trees is you plant and maintain. You take it to another level, not just planting and leaving. That is what we have been doing previously. So the local community will participate in this, schools will participate in this, and even the businesses will also join in this. They are the key stakeholders in this practice. So that creation of awareness about the climate change should be done in the corridor, and then the community should be encouraged to participate in the climate change mitigations.
Remember, prevention is better than cure, and death does not have a cure. So what do you plan to do?